Chevrolet gave us legends, the LS1, the bulletproof 350, but they also made engines that drain your wallet faster than a gas pump during a shortage. In this video, we're showing you 3 Chevy engines to avoid and 4 power plants that'll outlive most projects. Whether you're buying, wrenching, or rebuilding, this list can save you thousands. Let's start with the ones you need to run from. The 3 worst Chevrolet engines. Number 1. GM 2.4-liter Ecotech LEA/LUK variations. The oil guzzler. Your engine fails at 80,000 miles. You call the GM. They say it's normal. Welcome to the 2.4-liter Ecotech ownership experience. The GM 2.4-liter Ecotech, the LEA and LUK engines of the 2010 to 2017 Equinox and Terrain models, and some cruise years. This engine developed a very bad image to the extent that several class action suits resulted, and GM had to provide special coverage extensions. The problem? This engine is consuming oil at a rate of disappearance. We are not talking of a 4-month gap between oil changes. Proprietors say they use a quart every 500 to 1,000 miles. Not regular consumption, that is a mechanical catastrophe in the offing. The over-oil burning results in the multiplied breakdown of issues. Misfires are due to fouled spark plugs. The poor lubrication is caused by low oil levels. The timing chain is the result of low oil pressure. Sooner or later, the chain will leap or the tensioner will burst. When it occurs, you are looking at an apocalyptic engine damage. Damaged pistons, bent valves, and a repair bill that is usually higher than the value of the vehicle. It is even worse as the PCV system failures cause crankcase pressurization problems. The oil forces its way through seals and forms leaks and further consumption. CarComplaints.com documents thousands of owner reports describing engines stalling without warning, knocking sounds that signal imminent failure, and complete engine seizures. Some owners experience total engine failure before hitting 100,000 miles. That's absolutely unacceptable for a modern engine from a major manufacturer. GM did not recall anything. However, it issued technical service bulletins and extensions to warranties on certain parts. The company's solution? They set the acceptable level of consumption of oil to ludicrous levels, and in effect informed the owners that a quart per 2,000 miles was in specifications. When you plan to buy a used Equinox, Terrain, and Cruise of these years, insist on full service records in terms of religious oil checkups and replacement. Carry out a compression test and leak-down test prior to purchase. Better still, go out and seek something different. Good crossovers are available that will not leave one stuck in a parking lot with an engine full of metal shavings. An example of an engine design that looked good on paper but was a disaster in practice is this 2.4-liter Ecotech. Number 2. GM 1.4-liter Turbo Ecotech, the ticking turbo. In case the 2.4-liter Ecotech is flawed, the 1.4-liter turbocharged could be even worse to the used car buyers. Introduced as a little engine in 2011 to 2016 Cruises, Sonics, and Tracks, this little engine has a surprisingly large count of failure points. Its turbocharger is itself a weakness. These turbos break down grotesquely often, and when they do so, they explode. The issue lies with the oil and coolant feed lines to the turbocharger. This may be cracking, leaking, or breaking down, leaving the turbo short of lubrication, or cause an oil and coolant mix. When a turbo does not operate because of oil starvation, the whole lubrication system is contaminated with metal particles. That is not to say just a change of a turbo, but you may be facing an entire engine overhaul. Another failure point is the water pump. These pumps usually will go dead earlier, and when they do, you are experiencing overheating problems that will either flatten the cylinder head or break the head gasket. The direct injection system creates carbon buildup on the intake valves because there's no fuel washing over them to keep them clean. This buildup reduces performance and can cause rough running, misfires, and poor fuel economy. Coolant leaks are incredibly common. The injectors develop problems. The PCV system has issues similar to the 2.4-liter engine. It's like GM took all the worst aspects of modern small displacement turbocharged engines and combined them into one problematic power plant. Buyer beware. There are many warning messages posted frequently on enthusiast forums and technical communities about not buying these engines unless you can confirm substantial maintenance histories. At that, numerous scholars will tell you that you should look elsewhere. The issue is that by the time most of such vehicles enter the second-hand market with more mileage, the most important parts are already at the brink of failure, and the former owner is mostly selling off before the he/she can incur the cost of repairing it. Provided you have to think about a 1.4-liter turbo Ecotech car, Make sure that the turbo has been rechanged to a new one, water pump has been serviced, and the cooling system is also taken care of. Find dealer service records and not quickie oil change receipts. Despite an impeccable record of maintenance, know you are purchasing a more dangerous car. Repairing such cars when they fail can cost a great deal of several $1,000s, and hence they can act as money pits to unsuspecting consumers who want to purchase such cars as a means of transport. Number 3. Early GM 3.6-liter high-feature V6, the chain jumper. The 3.6-liter V6 in GM was the fastest, most powerful, and had a decent fuel economy in a smooth, refined package. The initial models of this engine were, however, tormented with serious reliability problems, which the owners learnt the costly lesson. The major issue is the timing chain and cam phaser system. The first versions of this engine used timing chains that either stretched too soon and cam phasers that lasted very little to long. When these parts start to malfunction, you can hear a very peculiar rattling sound of the engine, especially at the time of cold start. And that snorting is the exhaustion of loose timing chains striking guides, or frayed cam phasers that would fain attempt their role. Forget that rattlesnake and you are on your way to hell. Valves may be in contact with pistons due to a jumped timing chain causing the valves to bend and causing massive engine damage. Even if the chain doesn't jump, worn cam phasers cause the engine to run poorly, trigger check engine lights, and create drivability issues. The oil consumption problems that plague many of these engines compound the timing chain issues. Inadequate oil levels accelerate wear on the timing components. Some owners report misfires from carbon buildup or oil-fouled spark plugs. Others experience rough running and loss of power. The maintenance expenses are high. This V6 cannot be easily equipped with timing chains and cam phasers. You are dealing with a consideration of great working hours since the engine must be dismantled halfway. Parts aren't cheap either. The whole installation usually costs between $2,500 and $4,000 or even higher at a dealer in total, timing chain and cam phaser replacement. In later model years, GM did revise the timing chain components and corrected the software calibrations to solve many of the worst problems. But the early engines are still troublemakers. 1,000 stories of these failures are written in service forums, and there are numerous warnings made against early 3.6-liter V6 models by specifically automotive professionals. When considering a car with such an engine, you need to pay attention to the subsequent model years that have been equipped with the modified elements. Check full records of oil change with proper oil specification. During startup, the engine must be listened to carefully in case of rattling. Assuming that a mechanic who is a specialist in these engines is available, ask him to examine the engine and determine the state of the timing parts. Most of the owners who had kept these engines in ideal condition still had an early failure, so even having a clean service history does not help in reliability. Newer models or other engines are safer to buyers who wish to have reliable transportation. The 4 best Chevrolet engines. Number 1. Chevrolet LS family, LS1 through LSX series. And now we will discuss a Hall of Fame engine. It is the LS family that embodies all that Chevrolet did right with engine design. These aluminum block V8s were introduced in the late 1990s and changed the performance of America, and were the most popular swap engines in all of automotive history. What is so special about the LS series? Start with the fundamentals. The low-weight block is made of aluminum, which is very light and also strong. Contemporary design of the combustion chamber is the most efficient and powerful. The pushrod-operated overhead valve system could be considered a vintage design, but it is also easier and smaller than the overhead cam system, and has fewer components that can break or cause numerous failures. The LS1 that came out in the 1997 Corvette had 345 horsepower, and it was humiliating to many elite cars that cost 3 times more. Subsequent models such as the LS2, LS3, LS6, and LS7 shot up power levels with the same reliability of the Bulletproof, and these types of engines are known to run 200,000 to 300,000 miles without any additional oil changes or even regular maintenance. The amount of aftermarket support to LS engines is simply enormous. Need performance parts? You will have anything a mild upgrade to full race components. Need maintenance parts? They are all over and affordable. Would you like to replace an LS in another car? Everything such as classic cars, import sports cars, and off-road buggies have their adapter kits available at the companies. It has such a sound architecture that LS engines can take serious power increases with only minor changes. The 500 to 600 horsepower is routinely supported by factory blocks with only bolt-on upgrades. Internal adjustments can raise the levels of power even more. Its tunability is outstanding, having much software support and a vast knowledge base of successful combinations. For buyers, this means LS-powered vehicles are excellent long-term ownership propositions. Parts are affordable, mechanics understand these engines, reliability is outstanding. Whether you're looking at a Corvette, Camaro, Silverado, or any of the many vehicles that received LS power, you're getting one of the best engines GM ever produced. One consideration: avoid DOD or active fuel management versions if you want absolute simplicity. These cylinder deactivation systems add complexity and can develop issues. Non-AFM engines are simpler and even more bulletproof. Look for oil leaks around valve covers and oil pan, keep up with regular maintenance, and an LS engine will serve you for hundreds of thousands of miles. Number 2. Chevrolet Small Block 350. This next one might be the most underrated V8 in America. Prior to the LS, there existed the engine that characterized American V8 performance over the decades. The small block Chevrolet 350 cubic inch V8 is perhaps the most successful engine design in automotive in the automotive history. This iron block masterpiece was created between the period of 1967 to early 2000 in different models, which included Corvettes, Camaros, pickup trucks, and full-size vans. What makes the 350 legendary? Ease, longevity, and serviceability. It is such a well-known engine that the shade tree mechanics can be able to rebuild them in their iron garages. The cast iron block is close to being indestructible. The two-valve pushrod design is simple, hence fewer parts are likely to fail. It is smooth and reliable by the firing order and the balance. Small block Chevy parts are readily available and of low cost. Need a water pump? $30. Rebuilding the engine? Complete rebuild kits are easily obtained and cheap. Want performance upgrades? These engines have more than 50 years of support with the aftermarket. With a small block Chevy, there is absolutely nothing you can do with it. Sustainability is excellent when it is taken care of. Such engines often travel more than 200,000 miles. There are numerous ones that go 300,000 miles and larger. Once they wear out, the process of rebuilding is so easy and cheap as opposed to the modern engines. Remanufactured cores and crate engines are in abundance in case of a replacement. The 350 provided decent power at its time. It usually made 165 to 250 horsepower, depending on the version and year. That is not much nowadays, but bear in mind that these engines belong to the time when fuel injection and computer controls were still considered a luxury. Small block 350s are easily converted into 300, 400, or 500 horsepower with only minor modifications. The 350 is safe with classic car owners, hot rodders, and all those who operate with older Chevy cars. It is the motor that constructed the performance image of Chevrolet. Whether you're restoring a classic Chevelle, building a hot rod, or just maintaining a workhorse truck, the small block 350 will never let you down. Just verify compression is healthy, check for oil leaks, and know that if something does go wrong, fixing it won't require a second mortgage. Number 3. 5.3-liter V8 Vortec/Ecotech 3. The 5.3-liter V8 by Chevrolet is the optimal power efficiency reliability combination when it comes to the truck and SUV use. This engine is present in Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, Suburban, and other full-size GM models and has gained an excellent reputation in terms of reliability and durability. The 5.3-liter provides high levels of towing and hauling capability combined with a decent fuel economy in a full-size V8. Power output varies between 285 and 355 horsepower, depending on the generation, with a high torque of 305 to 383 pound-feet. That is enough muscle to handle the truck work with no penalty of the high fuel consumption of bigger displacement engines. The design of the engine is sound in nature. The weight is contained in an aluminum block. The pushrod that overhead valve design is straightforward. The later versions with a variable valve timing enhance efficiency, but do not introduce unnecessary complexity. According to many of its owners, more than 200,000 miles have been covered using ordinary maintenance. The subsequent generations of Ecotech 3 that were launched around 2014 solved most of the minor problems identified with previous generations. The direct injection system enhances favorable fuel economy and emissions. The cylinder deactivation system assists in fuel saving on the highway cruising. Although the active fuel management (AFM) system certainly introduces a certain level of complexity and has been reported to cause problems in some instances, the overall reliability is high. Simple things like common maintenance are easy. It is important that regular oil changes are made with the correct specification oil. particularly the AFM-equipped engines. There should be good maintenance of the cooling system. Spark plugs are to be replaced after the intervals. Adhere to these fundamentals and the 5.3-liter will do very well. To the buyers of the truck, the 5.3-liter provides a sweet spot. You have enough power to do actual truck work without spending extra money and complications of bigger engines. The car type is satisfactory in fuel economy. Reliability is excellent. Components are highly accessible and affordable. Mechanics are conversant with these engines. Look for later generation Ecotech 3 versions if possible, as they incorporate numerous improvements. Check service records to verify proper oil change intervals were followed. Inspect for any evidence of cooling system issues or oil leaks around valve covers. Ask about any head gasket work on higher mileage examples. A well-maintained 5.3-liter is one of the best truck engines you can buy. Number 4. 6.6-liter Duramax L5P. In the case of serious towing and hauling in heavy-duty use, the 6.6-liter Duramax diesel engine, which is the L5P version, released in 2017, is one of the most powerful and competent engines in the family. This is a massive turbo diesel engine with a lot of torque and very high durability in good conditions. In its present state, the L5P delivers 445 horsepower and a moving 910 pound-feet of torque. This figure of torque is what makes this engine special in the case of truck work. This engine is meant to tow heavy trailers, deliver maximum payloads, and deal with the rough conditions. GM took the time to learn with previous generations of Duramax and worked on most of the weaknesses in L5P. The engine also has better emissions facilities that are much more dependable as compared to the older systems. The turbocharger installation is very powerful in boosting over a broad range of RPM. The fuel injection system is superior and more efficient. The basic engine design is strong and long service life. Most L5P owners with proper maintenance relatively go beyond 200,000 miles. Others are even getting higher mileage by simply servicing the car. The trick is the adherence to the maintenance schedule. Diesel engines will require a higher level of care than gasoline engines, but the care will be rewarded with superior durability. The most frequent problems to consider are that map sensor may foul due to soot, injector connectors may sometimes fail, and that modern-day emission systems are generally complicated. The DEF system, DPF filter, and EGR components need to be functioning properly in order to work reliably. Nevertheless, the main mechanical elements are very strong and they seldom break. To the buyers of used trucks, check the injector service record and the maintenance of the map sensor. Ensure that the cooling system is in good condition. Check to see if there are any records of towing and transmission service, because these trucks are usually hard. It is highly essential to replace oil and fuel filters with quality diesel spec oil and fuel which is properly done. L5P is rather expensive to purchase and maintain, but it can be one of the most effective heavy-duty diesel products to buy in case a buyer wants to have the maximum performance and can retain the truck long. All you need to know is that with diesel ownership, you need to be committed to maintenance and be willing to pay more at the beginning of the purchase. The reward here is an engine capable of meeting the demand of hard-working shifts and giving consistent services to hundreds of thousands of miles. Chevy made myths and disappointments. Now you know which is which. Don't bother with the annoying Ecotecs and early 3.6-liter V6s and just go to the old stuff. LS family, the old-fashioned 350 small block, the reliable 5.3-liter Vortec, or the high-performance Duramax diesel. Hit subscribe in case this assisted you in avoiding a lemon or choosing your next swap motor. And tell us why. Which Chevy engine has made you trust it and which one lost your trust in?